Hey, everybody. I'm Hillary Atkin from the Atkin Report, and I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Alysia Joy Powell to this edition of Hillary's Happy Hour. Alysia, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful to be here with you. I'm doing
Well, I'm
good.
thrilled to be here with you, especially since your movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, is now out in theaters and on HBO Max. And it is just a riveting film that I've had the pleasure to see. Um, no spoilers here, but it's based on the true story of Chicago Black Panthers chairman Fred Hampton, told through the eyes of an FBI informant who ultimately betrays him. And Fred Hampton is played by the amazing Daniel Kaluuya. And you had a pivotal scene with him where he comes to your house, you're in your kitchen, and he's trying to comfort you because your son has been killed by police. So, what was fascinating to me is the scene starts off with humor, it goes into intense grief, and you're concerned about your son's legacy in the community. But please tell us more about it.
You kind of said it. You kind of summed it up. It was really heavy for me because I felt the responsibility that this role brought. Um, it's so funny because I've been contacted by all the families, the Jake Winters family. I Mark Clark was the person who was assassinated with Chairman Fred. His family has reached out to me, and I've also talked to Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and Mama Akua, aka Deborah Johnson. So I've talked to everybody. Just today, I talked to one of Jake's nieces, and she sent me pictures. Her name is Pauline Winters, and she was married to Joseph Winters. And she sent me a picture of when they found out that he was killed. And she just has her head in her hands. And I can't imagine the grief. So I felt the weight basically that I was carrying of all mothers who had children who were, brutally murdered by police. I carried that with me.
How did you prepare for the role?
Um, People have asked me that, and it's really, what I have, this gift I have, I believe comes from God. And so it's very, very spiritual. It's a very spiritual journey for me. I tried to do research to see if Jake was a real person or if he was fictional. I didn't know. And I couldn't find anything. It wasn't until the day that I got on the set that I found his story. And there's one article that's written about him from the Black Panther Party. And it describes, who he was, what he did in life, and also, his death. Um, so I got a sense of who he was. And when I got to set, everybody I came in contact with, I would say to them, "Can I tell you about my son?" And that just put me in a, even now, I mean, every time I talk about it, I get very emotional. Um, it's been an emotional week talking to the families, and it feels like, when you read about history in a book, it's come to life for me talking to the families. So yeah, it's been really heavy. And then to actually see the woman that I portray, and I didn't even know if she was a real person before.
Wow.
Um, I'm kind of glad that I'm finding that out now instead of then, because at that time when I was shooting, I felt like I was carrying all the mothers on my shoulders instead of one particular person's grief. And I
Hmm.
think that gave more weight to it. Not only that, but the day we were shooting was the day that the verdict was coming in for the Botham Jean case. So that was the weight as well. I felt that grief.
Well, I think this is such, as you were saying, it was hard to even find out information
Right.
about Jake. But I also think, because these events took place more than 50 years ago, this whole story of Chairman Fred Hampton is going to be new to many audiences. And Daniel did such an amazing job portraying him. And I know he would say in the film about your son in the film, he died a revolutionary death. Um, and I just wanted to ask you what it was like working with him.
Oh my gosh. Such a generous artist. Very generous. He only had like 2 lines, but he was with me every single second and every step of the way. And he really took care of me. Like after the first take, he was in it with me. Uh,
Your cat's part of the audience too.
my babies, I don't know what's going on. And this is Ruby. She doesn't usually do this. Usually I see who wants the attention. So I don't know what it is. I think my babies are in show business. They see a camera and they want to be a part of it because they don't usually do. She definitely doesn't usually do that. But anyways, I can't keep him out. But
That's okay.
anyways, so yeah, he was just very, very present with me, and it was very sexy. When somebody's that generous and that open and that vulnerable with you, you know, it's magic. It was a magical thing. I talked to Mama Akua, um, and
That's Fred's widow for people who don't know.
yes, and she told me it was like you and Daniel sat down, and he was chairman and you were Miss Winters, and it was like you guys knew each other forever, like you knew each other for a lifetime. And I was like, man, if we were able to convey that, like, I'm good. Do you need Variety to give you a approval if you're getting that from Mama Kua? It's like no. So yeah, I'm grateful. I am grateful. Yeah, very much so.
Well, again, this is going to be just such an eye-opening film for audiences. But what do you personally hope that people take away from viewing it?
One of the things that's really, really important is that one of the things that's important is that um people understand that the Black Panther Party will be vindicated in this, They will definitely be vindicated. We've For a long time they have been labeled terrorists.
Right.
And how do you become a terrorist when you're just trying to have a breakfast program, or you're trying to have financial freedom, or you're trying to create um, self-sufficiency for your community? Like how do you become a terrorist in that? Like, the Black Panther Party never killed anybody, but they were assassinated and they were hunted. There's still people in jail now, um, that they're still trying to get free, um, and that was the government's doing. You know, and the interesting part is when you go through history and you see how many of our leaders were assassinated during that time, starting with Sam Cooke. Starting with Sam Cooke, you go through Sam Cooke, you go through Jake, you go through Fred Hampton, you go through Medgar Evers, you go through Martin Luther King, you go through Malcolm X. All those people got assassinated within the same time frame,
Yeah.
within a couple of years of each other. And it was all because they were trying to have empowerment for their people. Right. So that's
I
what I'm
know it is
saying.
such an
Yeah.
intense time in history to look back on. But I think people will learn a lot, and I think it's very resonant in these times. that we see this film. But I did want to shift gears because you've done so many other amazing projects. And especially, I'm thinking of the 7th and final season of Orange is the New Black and your role as Gwendolyn Capers. She was the New York State parole officer supervising Piper Chapman, played by Taylor Schilling.
Yes.
So, tell us about that. And that show was so important. Think back when it started in 2013, and Netflix had that show and House of Cards, and now here we are.
Right. That's all they had back then, right? Compared
That's
to what
it,
they have
right?
now. Right. And Gingy, who's the showrunner.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Brilliant visionary. To run that show the way she did, to tell women's stories and champion women. She's my greatest angel. She's just an amazing woman, and I thank God for her, and I thank God for her vision. Um, it's good to see her smiling, right now. She went through something kind of tragic, and it's taking her a little time to heal, but I can't wait to see what she has up her sleeve next. I had a wonderful time on that show. I really, really did. And then one of the episodes that I did, Alex, the actress that plays Alex, she directed one of those episodes, and I was so excited. A little bit too excited at first. I kept flubbing my lines and everything because I was just so excited to have her direct me. And I was like, okay, I got to get it together. But I had a great time. The girls were good to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it was our, such a well-established ensemble, and then you came into it. You just fit right in, right?
I did. They welcomed me. I love Danielle, and yeah, they were good to me. So I had a great time. Yeah, but that's a little tough coming into an ensemble when people are already tight,
Right.
And it was the last season. But we went out with a bang.
You definitely did. And, before that, you also played a very memorable character, Nanny Alysia, on The Mysteries of Laura on NBC. So,
Yeah.
what was that experience like for you?
Oh my gosh. Starting from the very beginning, they made this character for me. I was in the pilot, and I had gotten a message from the director that he wanted to use me. He didn't know what, though. He didn't know where to put me, and I was like, I messaged him and I said, the kids don't have a nanny. I thought that would be funny if I just cursed them out on the bridge and then I'd show up as their nanny. And they went with it. I remember being called in for the wardrobe, and then all of a sudden people were ushering me into this other room. I walk in, it's a table read, and the script is open. When I sit down, it's right on my character. And I see that it's named after me, Nanny Alysia. And I was like, oh my God, they listened. Shout out to Mac G. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. I love being on there. And
Any
all the
new
different
projects you want to?
directors. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about any new projects that are coming up after this pandemic, or that you've been working on during it?
Well, I did write a one-woman show, and my dad passed in June.
Oh, I'm
At
sorry.
the end of May, yeah. And my dad was an actor before me. I grew up in the business, and I told my dad that I would do it. I would somehow find a way to do it. So during the pandemic, I was thinking, since we can't go back to stage, that I would turn it into a podcast. So I am talking to you from my studio. And so I'm going to be working on that, but I am open. Let the phone start ringing. Come on, people, call sister.
Well, I am so glad I called you and that you could take time out to hang out with me for Hillary's happy hour. I want to propose a toast to you, Alysia. And I'm so excited about Judas and the Black Messiah. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And cheers to you. Wonderful show you have.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Very soon on another screen at another time.
Bye.